Oh, my phone's getting ready to die. Crap. Alright. I know, guys, that I haven't put out a technique video this week, and I plan on putting out 2 or 3 next week, so please forgive me. But something else is really... My phone won't quit. Something else has really come to my attention. You're starting to see people that are my age that started grappling whenever they were 18, and now they're in their 30s. They're starting to develop problems and issues. And now you're seeing people that are authorities and got advice, and they're trying to tell you what to do. Whenever about the time I turned 30, and I'll pull up some pictures so that you guys can see what I'm talking about from where I was at. I had both of my shoulders had been dislocated at that time. My knee was absolutely jacked up. I had my meniscus had been tore. My LCL had been partially tore from the tendon in my right knee. Couldn't jog. Every time, like if I tried to roll, if I got mount on someone and they bucked hard, I would post out with my arm, and my shoulder joint would just stump. Some of you guys may know what I'm explaining here, but I would hear it slide, and I'd hear a suctioning noise in my shoulder joint, and then it would be for the next 6 months, be excruciating. And so I basically, injury after injury, I had slowly stopped training. And you know, you follow a process. One injury leads to time off from training, which leads to a further less fit you. Then you get back on the mat and you're in worse shape than you was whenever you were injured the first time, and it's just a self-perpetuating downhill spiral. It's a big snowball, okay? And I fell into the same trap that so many people fall into. And I couldn't quite understand it until I got there, and I had some experience in my life that helped me understand it that other people don't have. And I'm going to share some of that with you as well. And, you know, bear with me through this because there's good information that I'm going to give you, but I want you guys to understand it because it's all related. So I got to this point, you know what I mean? I posted out my arm, got mounted on this dude, bumped up, bam, I posted out, I hear this, my shoulder slides in the socket, 6 months. I'm thinking, crap, I just got healed up from this. And finally, I just, you know what I mean? I just kind of threw in the towel and said, listen, this is for the younger guys. My body has took too much damage. I'm just going to give it up. I instantly understood something that somebody had told me years before. And this is how this is, I'm going to make a circle here and try to come back, so bear with me. My mother has had an elderly care home, and that's where you take care of people in your home. They live with you for a long time, you know, over 20 years probably, or close to 20 years, let's say 15, 20 years, long damn time. And I've helped her take care of her people the entire time she's had it. I would bring them into my home whenever she would go on vacation and whatnot. This one gentleman, and most of the people that she had they've left marks on my life in some way. Things that they've said and done, points of reference that I didn't understand till later. So if you have somebody that's old, that's your grandpa or somebody, listen to them. Damn it! A lot of times, if I tell you something, it's because it's important. Okay? Just put that out there. This gentleman, he had been through 3 wars. He was in pretty bad shape. He wasn't in the best shape. I was helping him get dressed and stuff, and he told me, he said, you don't understand how humiliating this is to me. And I said, I'm sorry, I'll turn my head. He said, no, it's not that. He said, it's just hard. He said, it's just hard. And, you know, I understood. You know, I thought I understood. And he said, son, don't quit. Whatever it is that you enjoy doing, don't quit, because whenever you quit, it's so much harder to get started back. He said, and then one day you'll quit and you'll just never get started back. And that's whenever, whenever I had my son, and I was looking at some pictures that was taken of me, and I had done some other stuff, got out of breath really easy, and I thought, that's what he was talking about. It's a progression that it's a trap we fall into. It's a trap that we get tired of doing something and it gets hard, and then we say, okay, it is my time to stop. It's my time to slow down. It's my time to back off. And that's what he was telling me is don't back off. It is never your time until they put you in the ground. Then it's your time to quit. Because if you quit prematurely, then you will fall into the trap and you may never be able to start again. So that and looking at my son and seeing the impact that other people, the things that their body had endured through their lifetime, and how it affected them later in life in their elderly years. But I put my heart and my compassion into training hard. I had some issues I had to fix first, okay, before I done this. And you don't fix these overnight. It took me 2 years of repairing my body properly before I got to the point that I could safely push myself. And then once I safely push myself, damn it, I push myself as hard as I can, always. Everything I do with a passion and drive and authority that I will do it, that quitting is not an option, that failing is not an option, and slowing down is not an option, that you're going to move your damn ass and you're going to do it. Let me talk about the first couple years that it took me. And this was more than a couple years for me. This was about 3 or 4 years. I'm going to address individual problems I had. I had lower back problems. My lower back problems was because all of the guard work I had done over the years, my hip flexors had become shortened. Whenever you're working guard, you're up here like this. You're working your guard and stuff. Your hip flexors become really strong. They wrap around from your femur, they wrap around through your pelvis, and they attach, the primary points of attachment are L4, L5. And as they become short, it's just like curling. Your bicep will get really, really strong if you're just doing this motion. Okay, but it get really short. And what that does is that pulls your lower back in. And this stuff causes you back problems. So the back pain that I was feeling, it wasn't something that I couldn't fix. So I had to lengthen my hip flexors. So I started doing exercises to lengthen my hip flexors. My back problems started going away. My shoulder problems, okay? My shoulders were totally jacked up. And a lot of people have these same problems. What happens with jiu-jitsu and grappling is that, somebody's pulling in, is that you get a lot of flexibility. A lot of flexibility in your shoulders. Every way that you want to turn them, they get really, really flexible. But what ends up happening is that flexibility instabilizes the joint. The joint gets sloppy. And the way that your joint naturally rides is totally different because it's moving around. It doesn't have the instantaneous axis of rotation that it should have. And what that simply means is the instantaneous axis of rotation just means that if it's here and it's solid, it needs to rotate this way, just like that. Well, my joint is real flexible, so it moves around in the socket as it rotates. Okay, it kind of does this. That's not good. That's flexible, but not good. So what I started doing is exercises to tighten the tendons and the ligaments in my shoulders. Not make them more flexible, not stretch them, doing exactly the opposite. Shortening the connective tissue in my shoulders. Whenever you have more rotation, then you have a greater probability of injury. Your training has to be smart, and a lot of times you have to fix problems that you had that started developing in your 20s but didn't manifest themselves until you were in your 30s. It's not a matter of, I'm 30, I've got to slow down, and now you're going to have to watch who you roll with, and you're going to have to do that if you never fix your damn problems. And if you're 35 and you're taking that approach, it's because you're down the wrong damn path. What's going to happen, you can't roll with somebody light enough if you've got joint flexibility issues that's caused improper wear on your rotator cuff and stuff like that. And your hip flexors are causing interior pelvic tilt and your back's all jacked up. You physically can't roll with somebody light enough to do that. That's the approach I took. I first took, and that's why I kept getting hurt. I had problems from improper training that started in my 20s. And guys, if you ask, this is the most ridiculous damn thing I ever hear too. The best weight training or the best training for grappling is grappling. It's just not true, okay? If you want to have really tight hip flexors, have back problems later on, have shoulder rotation issues later on, then yes, don't ever do any type of fitness training other than grappling, because you're going to have problems. And I wish that was not true, because I would rather hit the mat and roll I would rather start rolling now and then just take cat nap breaks every so often and get back up and roll some more. I would love to do that. But you can't do that. You have to do exercises and fitness things and all this other junk that people typically don't like, because if you don't, whenever you get in your 30s, you're going to be that guy that is rolling light because he's old and still getting injured.